Disu, right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning to you, Lagos, Nigeria. Yeah, and wherever you're listening to us from, we bid you welcome to Daily Digest, the very first edition for the week. I know that some people who didn't listen to the radio all through last week may be wondering why are they hearing Sheriff's voice. Well, Sheriff is here because Jimi Disu is currently on vacation. Well-deserved rest Baba is taking right now. So let's leave Baba alone. And let's do what Baba does best, and that is driving the biggest conversation. This is what Nigeria Info does best as well, driving the biggest conversations in the country back to back on our programming. So you're welcome to the show for the next 2 weeks, me and you. You can watch us live on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can watch. That's Nigeria Info 99.3 on Daily Digest for today. We're looking at adolescent health. That is our focus. I know this is a demographics that they've suffered neglect for so long. We barely talk about them, even when we discuss health programs. Do you understand? Like, we have health programs on this show, on this radio, about 2 or 3 health programs, and I doubt that we discuss adolescent health as often. It's not that we don't discuss as often as we should. That is why I decided to talk about adolescent health this morning. We're going to define the demographics for you. I have a specialist on the show, a medical doctor on the show, that will let us know when we say adolescent, what age group are we looking at, so that you can contextualize our conversation properly. All right. By the way, before we get into the conversation, let me also say that the countdown for I Beg to Differ Students Debate Competition is on. Our contestants are ready. They are warming up. Some are in boot camp. You won't believe it. Some are in boot camp and they're, ready. We start next week, Monday, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. We're going to have 2 debates every day. We've got 32 great minds that will be going shoulder to shoulder starting next week, Monday. You need to tune in for that competition. I Beg to Differ. On Nigeria Info 99.3. Many thanks to our partners so far. We love you for always being there. And we'll welcome fresh partners and sponsors as well. Alrighty. Now, let's begin. Adolescent health. So let me start first by laying some background that Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa. So Nigeria as a country has a very and also well-known fact. The majority of the population is age of 25 years, which makes Nigeria very young. Our population very young. Of the majority of 25 years, 22% of the population falls into between ages 10 and 19 years. You see how young the population is. Very, very young population. And I got this from a data from the WHO. Now, global evidence shows that young girls bear a higher burden of maternal mortality and morbidity. Data shows that the average age of sexual debut is roughly 15 years of age. So if you think that you have a 15-year-old girl who probably does not know anything, you just may be deceiving yourself or, living in denial, because from data is king, data is key, data is life. Data is saying that our girls are being sexually exposed, not abused now, exposed from as early as 15 years of age. That is what the data is showing amongst adolescent mothers in Nigeria. You know what? I'm going to bring on my guest this morning. I have a consultant family physician with a focus on adolescent health. She's also a child advocate and an author. Dr. Nimi Ekere joins us via Zoom this morning. Dr. Nimi, good morning to you and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Sheriff, and thank you very much for having me. It's always my pleasure.
Let's start first by defining our topic, adolescents. What demographics are we talking about? What age bracket are we talking about when we say adolescent?
Okay, adolescents. Yes. The age bracket is 10 to 19, and adolescent health refers to the physical, mental, and social well-being of individuals within that age bracket, that is 10 to 19, and this is according to the WHO definition. This period is very crucial because it marks the transition from childhood to adulthood. So a lot of times, especially with the older adults, they don't want to be called children. When you call them, when you call any of them, like they come around and you say, "You're this child," and they're like, "Doctor, I'm not a child," and truly they are not children, and they're not adults either. So they are a bit peculiar. Statistics show that globally, adolescents constitute 1.3 billion of the population, which is about 16%. And right here in Nigeria, adolescents constitute above 30 million of our population, which is about 22%. So that is a lot. And you already said it, that 1/3 of our population is made up of young people. And who are young people? People aged 10 to 24 years, of which adolescents into, because I said they're age 10 to 19.
That's right.
Now, adolescent physicians or adolescent medicine is that subspecialty that caters to the needs. When I say needs, I mean healthcare needs and even their overall well-being, because a lot of times they have physical needs, mental needs, and social needs. Truly.
Right, Dr. Ikere, let's dive in now because we're discussing adolescent health, and you've given a background as to what we're talking about essentially. But why is conversation around adolescent health? Why is it important?
Thank you, Sheriff. It is very important because, like you said, it's a bit unaddressed, it's a bit undermined, it's quite silent. And the truth is that a lot is happening in that space. A lot of them are engaged in so many vices, and nobody is really paying. Well, there are efforts, but are the efforts enough? I attended a conference last year, and we had them around. It was a conference for adolescents, specialists, workers, paramedics, and they were there. Adolescents were there in their numbers, and guess what? They told us on their panel discussion. They said, "Adults, accept that we're having sex." That sounded a bit raw, but that's the truth. That's the reality, and we cannot hide it. We can't keep pretending that these things don't happen, and they are there having unintended pregnancies. HIV/AIDS is on the rise. So many things, peer pressure. I can't even begin to enumerate.
It's almost like they are constantly under pressure, but then they don't have anybody to talk to.
Yes, and because because of hormonal changes, their brains going through a lot of development, they just change, and parents don't understand them. There's just this conflict, subtle conflict, and they want to hang out with their friends. So this is also a time for everyone to be patient with this group of people. They have their health needs, they have their social needs, they have their psychological needs, and we all have to work together to preserve them, to nurture them, so that they can become healthy adults eventually.
So
ultimately,
we have quite a number of parents who are listening to the conversation, and some of them who must have passed that phase would agree to what you have said so far about the subtle conflicts, the changes in behavior and attitude towards their parents and all of that. People that have been through that phase will definitely key into that notion. Others that are yet to get to that phase as parents will be listening in very, very keenly to get some pointers from you. And talking about pointers, Dr. Ikere, what are those common health concerns among adolescents?
Because a lot of times nobody guides them. They engage in illicit sex, unprotected sex, so they are vulnerable to STI, sexually transmitted infections, including HIV/AIDS, unwanted pregnancies, abortions, and cause the complications that will arise from that. Studies have shown that depression is a leading cause of disability and morbidity in this group of people. And because they see them as cantankerous, a lot of times they don't even pay attention to them. And studies have also shown that a lot of adults with mental health disorders, established mental health illnesses, had it from the age of 14. So it was in the adolescence, but it was silent. Nobody paid attention to it. And of course, it progressed onto adulthood. There's suicide. Suicide is a leading cause of death in this group of people. There's substance abuse. If you go to rehabilitation homes, centers, it's filled with adolescents. A lot of times, we know about the Japa syndrome. Parents do not evaluate their children enough, their readiness to go abroad, because you go there and there's so much culture shock, adaptation. A lot of them feel burnt out. They take to drugs, they take to all sorts. And, some of them have suicidal tendencies. A lot of them, some of them commit suicide too. So they are prone to suicide, they are prone to anxiety, depression, that a lot of mental health disorders. They are prone to substance abuse. They're also prone to violence. They think that their ego, sometimes they want to show off, and then cultism, like I said, peer pressure would make them join bad friends, and then they want to fight. So there are injuries. How about accidents? You can see that sometimes, I don't know if it happens to you, I've seen a lot of them take their parents' cars, and of course, when they are not fit to drive, when they are not well tutored, or they are not competent enough, they have accidents, so they are prone to injuries as well. So they have a plethora of conditions that if we as adults, we as healthcare providers are attentive to, will at least curb them to a large extent.
Dr. Nimi, one thing that struck me while you're enumerating these health challenges and all of that earlier, just a moment ago, is the fact that this had been maybe one major turning point for so many adolescents in their life journey, because the moment they make this mistake, some of them, majority of them, don't ever get help, and they continue this trajectory for so long. For the female adolescents, some teenage pregnancies, which could affect their health, impact their mental well-being, and they grow with that. Some, they grow with it till they're old. Some, they eventually get help. For the male counterparts, once they take to drugs and cortisone and all of those things, they grow with those things as well. And it takes, sheer grace and, intervention for them to get out of it. Again, this underscores the importance of talking about adolescent in this part of we don't discuss it as much as we should. Before we go on a break, let's do something. Let's open up our telephone lines and hear from parents who are listening to us, and maybe some of them grew up in a way, maybe they were impacted while growing up as well due to this lack of information and education on their health. And maybe they found help, and let's hear some people's stories and how this has impacted their lives, from that mistake that they made while they were, still an adolescent boy or an adolescent girl, back in the day, because we have them listening to the show this morning, and would also like to hear from.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
Yes, I would like to say that even if we had excesses while growing up, it was a bit curbed, it was a bit curtailed. We had a structure. There were no internet. There was
the exposure was minimal then.
We didn't have. If we needed to write letters, we would write manually and send to the post office. Now, pornography is just a click away. So these people are facing greater challenges than we faced in our time. So it's worse. I just wanted to clear that.
That's right. Let's take one or two calls from parents and people who have experienced adolescence before and what they passed through and how they were able to come out of it. We'll just take one or two calls. 0700 993 993 993 and 0201 465 7190. We'll make that very quick. Good morning to you.
Hello, Sheriff.
Yes, please. Good morning.
Yeah. Thank God for this program that you brought today. On Friday, on Zainab's show, Zainab was talking about breast ironing and all that. I have a very little time to explain myself. I just called in and told Zion that I disagree with what you are saying, and people were just coming after me. Thank God this woman now, your guest now just said it, that
Dr.
people
Ikeri
are no more paying attention to their children, to their adolescent children. Why can't you call all these mothers that were doing all these things? This are their own understanding of hormonal control on their children. They pay a lot of attention to their children then. Even when their children is doing, when there is changes in their body, without the child telling them, they already know.
They are aware.
And they're finding a way to control all those things.
Right.
Why can't you just call them and ask them why they're doing this thing? I think what you are doing is right. This is a better way to do it and all that. All those mothers, then we can't just see what they are doing is condemnable. We condemn everything about them.
Thank you.
When we are condemning them, we are not paying attention to the children. We
Thank
just
you.
leave them to just grow on their own.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
They decide to do unnecessary things on their own.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
And these people were just coming on me and just
thank you. Apologies for that. Let me apologize on everybody's behalf, but thank you so much for calling me. Appreciate it. Let's quickly speak to Obianuju. After Obianuju, we'll head out to a break. Obianuju, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes, please.
You see, some of the things that are causing mental
Oh, we lost that call. But, we are not exactly talking about mental illnesses or all of that. We're talking about adolescent health on the show. But Dr. Nimi, very quickly, let me get your thought on what the first caller said about parents not paying, adequate attention anymore to their children at this time. I mean, there's no gainsaying that's the truth, yeah. But then what is taking the attention of parents away from their children these days? I've got 1 minute for you on this, Dr. Nimi.
There's so much pressure. There's so much pressure to make money. There's poverty staring people in their face, and they get overwhelmed. And in the past, we used to have a communal way of raising people. Your uncle could help you raise your child. Even your neighbor. Right now, everybody is minding their business, even when they know that things have gone south. So yes, poverty, lack of information too. A lot of parents don't know what is happening. Sometimes they pretend. Sometimes they could see, but they're not intentional about knowing what is even happening. So if you want to be a Gen Z parent, you have to be Gen Z literate. You have to be compliant. You have to know what your child is doing. And then you have to listen to programs like this, ask questions, because you might think your child is stubborn, your child is this, but they're going through a phase.
Dr. Dimi, we're gonna dive deeper as to what parents and physicians like yourself can do to help these people. But let's go to break right now, Lagos. We will be back.
Do you want your children to excel in STEM subjects? Enroll them today on Get Bundy Education Technology at www.getbundy.com. With over 1,000 hours of science subjects, 4,000 multiple choice questions, 3 years of revision for competitive exams, Get Bundy Education Technology is the right platform for your children to learn and develop needed skills for future technology. For GSS3 and SS3, Get Bundy is offering daily online live lessons Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and mathematics and coding classes on Saturdays. Give your children the right head start with proficient educationist on Get Bundy. Register them today on www.getbundy.com or call 0814-175-5552.
As you see me so, I belong to the Chop Better gang. Now, why anytime I want chop like this, I dey put better things inside. For my yam porridge, after I don't put my fish, I go con deck am with onions, tatashe and ugu, con season am with correct no cubes for that delicious taste. Because my people, good life na life where you chop better.
Sama all your food with correct vegetables. Come season am with no cubes for that ogbonge delicious taste. Today, chop better.
Folake, where are you going? Won't you go to the cashier to settle your medical bills?
Bills? Cashier? My HM already handles that.
You and these HMOs every time. Is it not the same HMOs we all know?
No, Reliance HMO is different. For example, I'm only here because I needed a physical examination. Other times, I chat with a doctor from the comfort of my home. I can even get a prescription delivered.
But they only cover you when you are ill.
That's not true. I had my facials done courtesy of my HMO. Even my workout sessions are covered by Reliance HMO.
How about hospitals?
Reliance HMO has a hospital roaming. Their relationship with providers makes it so easy to access care at any facility. Approvals take a short time.
They tell you what you're covered for?
With the Reliance Care app, I have all I need in my back pocket. I can connect with a rep in seconds.
How is that even possible?
This is Reliance HMO, the next generation health plan for businesses. Visit www.getreliancehealth.com or call 0201 700 1580.
A mother's love is unconditional. Nothing serves this love better than a bowl of Indomie. So, show some love with Indomie.
At the start of the race, head held high, fit check, body ready. Your bounce is 100. Soon, you begin to sweat and lose electrolytes. And as you get closer to the finish line, you start to lose your rhythm and your bounce. That's when you rehydrate, refresh, and replenish with Hydrate 100 Isotonic Drink.
Hydrate 100.
Enjoy the great taste of the new Hydrate 100 Isotonic Drink in strawberry, tangy twist, and pine berry flavors as you keep your bounce at the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon on the 10th of February. Follow Hydrate 100 NG on all social media platforms for more info. Hydrate 100 Isotonic Drink. Keep your bounce.
Are you ready to study overseas in the UK? Boost your career by studying a one-year master's at the University of Stirling in Scotland. Stirling is ranked top 20 in the UK for postgraduate teaching. We offer a £4,000 Nigeria Master's Scholarship, and you may be eligible to work in the UK for up to 2 years after completing your degree. Visit University of Stirling online to apply for a master's starting in September or January.
The I Beg to Differ Secondary School Debate Competition is back. The challenging and well-researched topics.
They said CBDC is easier and faster,
giving the economic climate to some countries.
Two-thirds of the world population have abolished the death penalty. Yes. You mentioned that they don't no longer settle land disputes like
the points and the counterpoints.
In line with research, Nigeria sets out an increasing number of skilled workers.
You look at the points that you made about it being manipulated by the media. Secondly, my opponent says that it increases volume of clean and fit loads. Well,
the confidence and the tensed battle.
We make it sound that government doesn't have a set of rules and regulations.
There are different safety measures that Okada riders do flaunt.
A child that is not being properly academically satisfied.
Secondary school students in Lagos will go shoulder to shoulder in the I Beg to Differ Secondary School Tournament to contest who deserves the crown. The I Beg to Differ competition is back this February on Nigeria Info FM. For sponsorship, call 0908-885-1862. I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
You're listening to Jimi Disu right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back to Daily Digest here on Nigeria Info 99.3. I am Sheriff Quadry. If you're watching on Facebook and on YouTube, you're most welcome to the conversation as well. If you are on Twitter, you can drop your messages for us on Twitter or X. It's quite difficult to call it X because it could mean another thing entirely. If you are on WhatsApp, you can drop your comments there as well on WhatsApp. And let's have a conversation on adolescent help. If you've been through this before, when you were an adolescent person, when you were a young person from between 10 and 19, you may want to call us and share your story and what that step that you took, that wrong step that you took, has impacted your lives. Being an adult now, you can look back and you can tell yourself, like, I did this thing when I was this, and it really affected me. That's the conversation we're having this morning. A consultant family physician with a focus on adolescent health, and she's also a child advocate and an author. Dr. Nimi Ekere is our guest this morning. This is her specialty. Dr. Ekere, thank you again for giving us your time to have this conversation this morning. Let's proceed from where we stopped before the break. We talked about parents and what is driving them out, not paying enough attention to their adolescent children and all of that. All our lines are blinking right now, but let me quickly drop this question for you, Dr. Nimi. Now we have seen that poverty is driving this, hardship, hustling, and all of those. Even people that are not poor, they don't even get time for their picking. They just hustle every time, go out, nothing, no time. Now, how can parents, not just parents alone, even healthcare providers support the health and well-being of adolescents? How can we do this?
Okay, for parents, I've always said that communication is a bedrock of every relationship, and we know that is true. So if you want your adolescent to open up to you, to be your friend, maybe not your best friend, but at least your friend, make sure that you make the communication open and non-judgmental. For instance, they tell you, Mom, I'm having vaginal discharge or something, and you say, you've gone to sleep with boys. I knew it. They will not tell you again. And it's typical of mothers, I dare say. I don't think present-day mothers, but I know that a lot of times, they inhibit or hinder the relationship or the communication. And before you know it, they go about telling their friends, and that's where all the vice is coming. They want to explore because their friends will tell them, do it this way. Ideally, your parents would have your back. They should be the ones to tell you how it is. And for this day parenting, is different from what we used to have. These children, before, if you do anyhow, you get anyhow. I mean, sorry for that language, yes, but that is how it is. They don't really have that patience that we had growing up. So you have to be patient with them, open and supportive, non-judgmental communication. It's very important. And from time to time, you can take them for checkups. Like I said, if you want to take your child out for studies, it's okay to evaluate, to take the child to a professional to evaluate the readiness and even your own readiness. Do you know what it takes to take them to another environment? Or you think it's just to go and then you leave them all by themselves? I think you need that support, professional support. And then health checks. Recently, I just got an adolescent came to me. She had abdominal pain, and of course, we have a tool that we use for them. By the time I started asking her, exploring, I realized that she had suicidal ideation. She had, in fact, attempted suicide. So, of course, it took another turn. So, it's important that we do not undermine the place of health checks, the place of professional medical care for them. Whether professional, medical or psychosocial care for them. And healthy habits, promote healthy habits, make sure that they sleep well. Adolescents they love to sleep because of all the demands on them. Make sure that they eat well, the right kind of food, and then instill resilience in them. Make sure that you teach them autonomy, because a lot of times their friends have a hold on them. They are susceptible to peer pressure influence. So we have to keep talking. Of course, how do you instill that if you're not their friend, if you don't communicate? Right. So you have to keep doing your part. And then for the healthcare providers, we have to keep studying, keep being abreast with the best practices, make sure that the government is doing, we have Hello Lagos and other initiatives for young people and adolescents, but I think that the private sector should also take it upon themselves. There should be adolescent-friendly clinics and hospitals where adolescents, they're not children, can just walk in and sometimes with their parents, talk about their concerns, talk about what is bothering them. If it's burnout at school, they have counselors. And then please, let us demystify mental health challenges. The fact that somebody is going through a depression or going through anxiety or any mental health disorder does not mean that the person is mad. Let's demystify, let's destigmatize this mental health illness. It will help a lot. And then our settings, if as healthcare providers, we want them to come in, we should make that setting also non-judgmental. There's a place, there's a setting that an adolescent will see and not even open up to you.
Right.
They'll feel like, oh, you want me to open up and tell you my secrets? I won't. And they will not tell you. So we have to be intentional, even as healthcare providers. And there should be more people willing to go into this space because it's really it's fair or a space that is not that is undermined. Let me just use that word, that hasn't been given enough attention. Yes.
Right. Dr. Nimi, let's take one or two calls at this point before we now go to the challenges that adolescents faced in Nigeria. In fact, the challenges that we face in Nigeria when we talk about adolescent health, because I know that there are challenges when we talk about adolescent health, but I can't but want to hear from people who have adolescent children. No, you said they are not children. Adolescent people.
Adolescents. The older ones will not forgive you if you call them children.
So let's hear from them, and those that have passed through that phase, perhaps due to lack of care or guidance, they made some wrong decisions at the point. We'd like to hear from you. 0700 993 993 993 and 0201 465 7190 for the ladies. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sheriff. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is Remy from Akoka.
Welcome, Remy. Talk to me.
Yeah, greetings to your guest. I quite agree with virtually everything she said. These days, adolescents as early as 13 are having consensual sex with their contemporaries, not even with adults. From my observation, as early as 13, they are having consensual sex. So parents need to do better. Just like your guest said, they need to start sex education as early as possible.
Right.
So you get.
Right.
So parents need to pay more attention to teenagers these days.
All right, Remy, thank you. We lost your call, but thank you for calling me.
Thank you, Remy.
Absolutely. Obianuju is next. Let's speak with her very quickly. Then you can now respond to Remy and Obianuju. Obianuju, welcome back.
Yeah. Oga Sheriff and Oga Kofi.
Right.
Doctor, good morning.
Good morning.
You see, to be sincere, you have said it, or have said it, poverty. You see, poverty can make you as if you are abnormal. Poverty can make somebody wear left and right, say fast. Maybe he doesn't have 15 naira to show it. You understand? And our government, they are not helping us. Because they call us lazy people. We are not lazy. We are struggling in Nigeria. Early morning, you see Nigerians in the street, pushing wheelbarrow, doing a lot of things in order to survive. As I'm talking to you now, to go and see my agent, I don't have transport to go. My son have gone to work without food. That kind of boy going to work without food, what do you expect him to be working? If he's working, he says it will not be okay because he has not eaten. I'm not a lazy type. I'm a hard-working human being. As I'm talking to you, like I said, I've sent you SMS. I need help. As I'm here now, I don't even have a cup of garri in my house.
Right.
My I have to pay agent fee, 5,000 pay transportation for us to go and see the work. Where I want to work. Where will I get the money from? Will I see?
The demand on you is not making you even have that time. That's what you're saying, Obianuju.
So it's not that we don't have time.
Right.
As I'm talking to you now, poverty is the cause. I need help, doctor. If you can help me, even though it's 2K, let me buy garri and sugar that we will drink, and transport myself to my agent office for the work.
Thank you, Obianuju. Thank you for calling. Appreciate it. You know what, Doc? Let's take one more call. Then you respond to the three. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, caller. We can hear you. Oh, that call has eventually dropped. Doc, you know what? We can't take calls right now because we have other things. Please respond to Remy and Obianuju, their concerns. Remy seemed to think that, adolescents now have consensual sex.
Yes, and that's very true. I told you about the program I attended, and they came out
That's
bluntly to
right.
tell us
That's right.
that they were having sex. So that is the reality of the time that we're in. So we have to do a lot to, as regards sex education. It has to be early, like he rightly said. It has to be very early in age-appropriate words. It has to be comprehensive. So you don't tell them, when you go and talk with a man, you get pregnant, or when you kiss him, you tell them as it is. You tell them as it is. Of course, bearing in mind their ages, and then with it being comprehensive, I mean that you also have to include homosexuality, everything about sex education. You must tell them. So
Right.
make it as simple and as clear and as truthful as possible. And then let them have access to um, centers where they can also have counseling, because every adolescent center or adolescent friendly center, youth friendly center, must have reproductive health units, sexual and reproductive health, where, of course, what we preach is abstinence, but there are condoms for them, for people that want to go into that want to have sex.
Right. Doc, now that we are in this space,
because not everybody will abstain.
Now that we're in this space,
Like I said, not everybody will.
Right, right. Now that we're in this space, I would like for just to get your thoughts on a practice. It was discussed on one of our shows, Maternity Line, with Zainab Yakin last week. She's been having this conversation now for some weeks, and that is because the parents also are in fear of what their adolescent girl or girls are exposed to. Some of them know that their girls are exposed to these things. So because of their fear, they have, and this is not a new practice, by the way. It's very old practice where parents use hot iron or hot stones to press the chest of their adolescent, girls. Speak to this, doctor. Is this part of the adolescent health?
Use what? Use what? I didn't get that.
Hot iron, hot stones to press the chest of the adolescent girls.
What for?
So that according to the practice is to ensure that their chest doesn't grow as quickly or as big as it would have normally grown, and also that would ensure that they keep them safe in a way, like dissuade the minds of prowl or predators from coming close to their young girls.
That doesn't make any sense at all. That's physical abuse and emotional abuse, emotional torture. So any parents that's involved in that should desist, because Lagos I give it to Lagos. If they catch you, you are in for it. Convicted. You will, yes, and if you're found guilty, you go to jail. You face the penalty. So you don't do that to your child. What you need to do is to keep talking to your child, keep talking to them, keep addressing the issues, and let them open up to you. Don't judge them. Even if they told you they had started anything, if you can't handle it, then go to a healthcare provider and seek help. Don't do that. Don't inflict injuries on them, because it's barbaric. You shouldn't do that. And I didn't talk about the vaccines, HPV vaccines. We have them in Nigeria now.
Right. Hello, Doc. Are you still with us?
Boys as well.
Okay.
But right now, they're given to teenagers. So avail yourself the opportunity to give your child the vaccines. And it's better when they are not sexually active. However, if they are, there's still room for them to have it. So, I mean, it's better than nothing. So please do that for your teenager. That's very important.
You said something earlier that is quite striking when you said that speak to them about sexual intercourse, speak to them about homosexuality and all of these other sexual definitions that we have now in these days. Also ensure that they know about condoms and all of those things. Some parents will seem to think that this, what is Dr. Nimi saying now? This is taboo. Is it not encouraging these children? No, sorry, they are not children. I'm really, really struggling with the children and adolescent thing. Is it not encouraging the adolescents to even expose them more to these things? Dr. Nimi, I mean, is this one of the challenges that we're faced with in Nigeria when it comes to adolescent health? The perception, the narrative, and all of those things?
Yes, we have to change that narrative because it's not even helping us. We have to challenge societal norms that make sex education so sacred. Of course, it's sacred, but there's nothing bad, there's nothing shameful about educating your children, when it comes to sex education, because it's in their faces. They are just a click away from these things. Their friends will tell them. So you tell them in a healthy manner, in a healthy way. You tell them in a safe. I mean, it's safer when you tell them, because studies have shown that parents that have educated their children continually had children that made informed decisions, good decisions, and delayed sex. Delayed the act. A lot of them did not rush into it like their contemporaries that were not well taught, were not counseled. So it's very important that we are the ones that will teach. And if you don't know how to do it, you can ask questions, you can read books, you can see an adolescent health expert. You can start read books. I'm reading books on sexual abuse, on how to do this, how to navigate it. So it's a must that parents should do this, teach their children sex education, and in schools too. I know that it's part of the curriculum, but it should be taken very seriously. They should have helplines. Of course, we do have all that, but we need more helplines for sexual education, helplines for mental health illnesses, so that when they call, there's somebody to pick and just help these children. If we don't do it, then it's going to be a disaster waiting to happen, but we don't pray for that.
No, we don't. And I must say that when Dr. Nimi said, to speak to them, broadly about sex and everything, including homosexuality and everything, I'm sure that you're aware that she's saying, look, homosexuality is illegal in this part of the world. Speak to them about it and all of that.
Exactly.
That's essentially what Dr. Nimi was saying at that point. Now, Dr. Nimi, let's quickly take a few more calls.
Because why I said that was because, why I said that was because I've seen a child that said the parents did not tell the mother. The child said the mother told her, don't sleep with boys. And so when a girl came, a girl tried to abuse her. She couldn't say no because they had not informed her. They had not equipped her with that assertiveness, that knowledge. In fact, it was trained to her. She didn't know, and she gave in. And right now she's into all that. So it's best that we tell them what is happening, that it is wrong. They shouldn't engage in it, and that they have the power, they have everything it takes to say no and mean no, so that it's comprehensive, so that the children don't go and have that half-baked truth. Everything should be told and laid bare to them.
Fantastic. Now let's jump on this call. Good morning to you. Welcome to Daily Digest.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, please.
Mrs. Olawale from Aja.
Welcome, Mr. Olawale.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Nimi, for all the work, the words you have passed through. But, we also observed within the society, as much as the parents are talking, we also observe that some of the abusers or those who take advantage of the adolescents, those people will also trust. I mean, so somebody who you say, okay, my child or my children will be safe in their custody or in their care, they even take advantage. How do you manage that aspect? I don't know if I'm...
Yes, you're clear. You're very clear.
Yes, sure.
How you manage, because sometimes you find out that at the end of the day, it is that person that actually takes advantage and abuses the children. And irrespective of what you keep saying, the children are having conflicting thoughts, conflicting ideas.
Right.
You are saying one thing,
personality,
and then when they go, they are hearing something else, and then the person is actually abusing them. So
Right.
how do you manage that?
All right, Ms. Olawale. Doc.
That's a very good one. I mean, I've been on Sheriff's show a couple of times to talk about this, and I'll say it again and again, that 60% of abusers are people that the children, the family know. They are close to the family. In fact, they are very, very close to the family. 30% are people that are acquaintances, and then 10% are strangers. So this tells us that the abusers are the people that we know and trust. So for that, and that's why I say communication is the bedrock of every relationship. You must know your child. You must have been teaching your child assertiveness, empower them with boldness, empower them with autonomy. Let them know that their bodies belong to them. And nobody, no uncle, no auntie can take advantage of them. When you do this over a long period of time and then validate them, keep speaking the right word. You don't berate them and think that their self-esteem will be high enough to tell a stranger. No, a lot of times adolescents look for love in the wrong places. And if they don't get it at home, they would look for it. They will search. Anybody that tells them I love you, even if it's a driver, they will go for the person, because their self-worth is not it's questioned, is obliterated. So the onus lies on us. The responsibility lies on us to do our part, to do our bit, and it is that we must have an open, non-judgmental communication with them, have an ongoing relationship with them, love them regardless of what they do. And Sheriff said something important, that some parents, when girls get pregnant, their parents are so angry, they are not given second chances. A lot of them would have been doctors, lawyers, but they are driven out to the streets. And of course, what do you want them to do when they go to the streets? So we should as parents show empathy, love, unconditional love to our children. We should mind who we bring to the house. Mind, if your instincts tell you don't bring this person, I think you should go with your instincts. Don't bring them. And if you start suspecting that your child is getting too close, at some point they will call you paranoid, but you're doing what a parent should do. So mind who you bring to the house, mind who you bring to work for you, do your background checks, and then be close to your child. When your child you have their back, they know that you have their back, it will be difficult for anybody to do that. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's difficult. So know them, love them, get close to them, instill them with boldness, assertiveness, let them have body, let them know that their bodies belong to them, and no one has a right to manipulate, to coerce them to do anything wrong.
Dr. Nimi Ekere, consultant family physician with a focus on adolescent health, child advocate and author. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us this morning. You've done a great job in dealing with this topic today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Sharon.
Lagos, that's our daily digest for today. I'm back tomorrow at 9 o'clock for Dear Bumi, Daily Digest, Dear Bumi. I'm Sheriff Quadry.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria